Hi there. So we're going to start studying Revelation and try and correlate it with today's time. Now, I'm a layman. I'm not a professional. I've been a Christian for, 55 or 56 years, so I've gone over it plenty of times. But we'll go over it, but we have to start. Before we start in Revelation, we really should go to the book of Daniel, because Daniel was the first one to see all this. And we'll lightly skim over Daniel. It'll take a couple of episodes to go over all of Daniel's vision and try to kind of make sense of them, correlating with what has happened in history and what's happened to today, and then we'll get into Revelations. But this is the beginning of probably a long study. So we're going to start with the first of Daniel's visions. It goes through chapter 9, and I'm just skimming through the book, just picking out the visions and the interpretations. But then we'll, in the second episode, we'll finish Daniel and then start Revelations. So stick with me. It'll get good. Let's go to the book of Daniel. Okay. Now, Daniel was an Old Testament prophet. And he was, we'll start with one. How long is Daniel? Let me see. 12 chapters. And we can, image of gold, Nebuchadnezzar's dream of the tree, writing on the wall, Daniel and the lion. Yeah, remember Daniel and the lion's den? The dream of 4 beasts, Daniel's vision of the ram and the goat, Daniel's prayer, 77. Daniel's vision of man. So, Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. Let's see. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream, and visions passed through his mind, and he was lying in bed. He wrote down the substance of his dream. Daniel said, "In my vision at night I looked, and there before me were the 4 winds of heaven, churning up the great sea. 4 great beasts, each different from the others, came up out of the sea. The first was like a lion. It had wings of an eagle. It watched until its wings were torn off, and it was lifted from the ground so that it stood on 2 feet like a human being, and the mind of a human was given to it." So the lion had wings of an eagle. I watched until its wings were torn off. That's weird. And there before me was a second beast, which looked like a bear. It was raised up on one of its sides, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. It was told, "Get up and eat your fill of flesh." After that I looked, and there before me was another beast, one that looked like a leopard. And on its back it had 4 wings like those of a bird. The beast had 4 heads, and it was given the authority to rule. A leopard with 4 wings and 4 heads. After that, in my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was a 4th beast, terrifying and frightening and very powerful. It had large iron teeth. It crushed and devoured its victims and trampled underfoot whatever was left. It was different from all the former beasts, and it had 10 horns. And this was way back. While I was thinking about the horns, therefore, there before me was another horn, a little one, which came up among them, and 3 of the first horns were uprooted before it. This horn had eyes, like the eyes of a human being, and a mouth that spoke boastfully as I looked. As I looked, thrones were set in place, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was white as snow. The hair of his head was white like wool. His throne was flaming with fire, and as its wheels were all ablaze. The throne has wheels. A river of fire was flowing, coming out from before him. Thousands upon thousands attended him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were opened. Then I continued to watch. Because of the boastful words the horn was speaking, I kept looking until the beast was slain and its body destroyed and thrown into the blazing fire. The other beasts had been stripped of their authority, but were allowed to live for a period of time. In my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was like a son, was one like a son of man. That would be Jesus, coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence. He was given authority, glory, and sovereign power. All nations and peoples of every language worshipped him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom is one that will never be destroyed. The interpretation of the dream. I, Daniel, was troubled in spirit, and the visions that passed through my mind disturbed me. I approached one of those standing there and asked him the meaning of all this. So he told me and gave me the interpretation of these things. The 4 great beasts are the 4 kings that will rise from the earth. But the holy people of the Most High will receive the kingdom and will possess it forever, yes, forever and ever. Then I wanted to know the meaning of the 4th beast, which was different from all the others, and most terrifying with its iron teeth and bronze claws. The 4th beast that crushed and devoured its victims and trampled underfoot whatever was left. I also wanted to know about the 10 horns on its head and about the other horn that came up, before which 3 of them fell, and the horn that looked more imposing than the others, that had eyes and a mouth, and spoke boastfully. As I watched, this horn was waging war against the holy people and defeating them, until the Ancient of Days came up and pronounced judgment in favor of the holy people and the Most High, and the time came that they possessed the kingdom. He gave me this explanation. The 4th beast is a 4th kingdom that will appear on earth. It will be different from all the other kingdoms and will devour the whole earth, trampling it down and crushing it. The 10 horns are the 10 kings who will come from this kingdom. After them, another king will rise, different from the earlier ones. He will subdue 3 kings. He will speak against the Most High and oppress his holy people and try to change the set times and the laws. The holy people will be delivered into his hands for a time, times, and half a time. Stop it. Let's look at the note on that. For a year, 2 years, and a half a year. So that's 3.5 years. Okay. Now this is Daniel, so, and people through the ages. I mean, this is thousands. This text is, thousands of years old, before Jesus. And people have tried to interpret it through the years. Are we close now? I don't know. The 4th beast is the 4th kingdom that will appear on earth. Okay. Could that be America? I don't know. It'll be different from all other kingdoms and will devour the whole earth, trampling down and crushing it. Okay. I mean, we've not tried to take over the world. I mean, this could be China. Okay. Even though China's been around for thousands of years, we don't know. It'll be different from all the other kingdoms and will devour the whole earth, trampling down and crushing it. Okay. The 10 horns are 10 kings who will come from this kingdom after, 10 horns are the 10 kings who will come from this kingdom. So, 10 kings will come from this kingdom that arises. Now they're starting to, they're calling it BRICS, but a lot of the countries, China, Arabia, Britain, India, are all getting together to form one. I mean, they tried. I mean, you could call this a European Union, the one nation that had, I don't know if they had 10 rulers or not. But if it was, say, the European Union, which is now kind of falling apart, people are leaving it, The 10 horns are the 10 kings who will come from this kingdom. There could be 10 in the European Union. After them, another king will rise different from the earlier ones. He will subdue 3 kings. He will speak against the Most High and oppress his holy people and try to change the set times and the laws. Now, we know that's not Donald Trump, because he never spoke against the Most High. And he hasn't subdued 3 kings. I mean, and it's not Putin. Putin doesn't speak against the Most High. I mean, he's started, 30,000 churches in his country since he came to power. And he is not part of the 10 kings. He doesn't like him, actually. So you look for somebody who has spoken against the Most High and oppress his holy people and try and change the times and set laws. Okay. Who could that be? Now, this is Daniel written, 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. And God's giving him stuff. The holy people will be delivered into his hands of this evil person for 3.5 years, it says. 3.5 years. So, I mean, this could be the Antichrist, but I don't think so. After these kings, another king will rise and subdue 3 kings. So, after the 10 kings will come from his kingdom, after them, another king will rise, different from the earlier ones. He will subdue 3 kings. That means 3 nations. So we'd have to look and see what happened. If they're talking about the European Union, it's the 4th beast. And it didn't devour the whole earth. The European Union didn't. I mean, there hasn't been anything yet that has devoured the whole earth. Although lots of people have tried. And maybe this stuff hasn't happened yet. So somebody come along and will subdue 3 of these 10 kings. He'll speak against God and oppress the people and try to change their set times and the laws. Again, this could be old USSR, okay, back from the 70s, and before it was broken up. They call that the Cold War. And in the original, when Stalin and Marx ran the USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, although there was nothing republic about it, you weren't allowed to worship God upon pain of death. So, and they did these things, okay? Spoke against the Most High and oppress his holy people and try to change the set times and the laws. Yeah. In communism, the first thing they try and do is get rid of God. Because if you have God, then you have hope. And they want their people to be hopeless and oppressed, so they will do whatever they say. Communism is all about a few people ruling a lot of people. Kind of like having an ant farm closed up in a glass case. And that's just, it makes them feel good. It makes them feel like God to be able to rule people like that. And that could have been over. I mean, if this was the USSR, because they did speak against the Most High and oppressed the people, try to do all these things. The holy people were delivered into his hands for a time, okay? And the USSR it's gone now. So, and Putin's there opening churches. Okay? So it could be any number of things, or it could have not happened yet. Yeah. But the court will sit, and his power will be taken away and completely destroyed forever. Then the sovereignty, power, and greatness of all the kingdoms under heaven will be handed over to the holy people of the Most High. His kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, and all rulers will worship and obey him. Man, that's a... let's make that a different color. Let's make it yellow. No, yellow. Okay. Can't change the color of that one, but I really like that. You know, my finger keeps pushing the right mouse button. Let's take it off. Take it off, take it off, take it off. No. Put it on. There you go. But the court will sit, and his power will be taken away and completely destroyed forever. And the sovereignty, power, and greatness of all the kingdoms under the heaven will be handed over to the holy people of the Most High. His kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, and all rulers will worship and obey him. Well, and we know that hasn't happened yet, huh? This is the end of the matter. I, Daniel, was deeply troubled by my thoughts, and my face turned pale, but I kept the matter to myself. Wow. Okay, that's his dream. I think there was more. Daniel 8. Oh, he had visions. Daniel's vision of the ram and the goat. In the 3rd year of the King Belshazzar's reign, I, Daniel, had a vision after the one that had already appeared to me. In my vision, I saw myself in the citadel of Susa in the province of Elam. In the vision, I was beside some canal. I looked up, and there before me was a ram with 2 horns standing beside the canal, and the horns were long. One of the horns was longer than the other, but grew up later. I watched the ram as it charged towards the west, and the north, and the south. No animal could stand against it, and none could rescue from its power. It did as it pleased and became great. As I was thinking about this, suddenly a goat with a prominent horn between its eyes, a goat with 1 horn between its eyes, came from the west, crossing the whole earth without touching the ground. It came toward the 2-horned ram, and I had seen standing beside the canal, and charged at it with great rage. I saw it attack the ram furiously, striking the ram and shattering its 2 horns. The ram was powerless to stand against it. The goat knocked it to the ground and trampled on it, and none could rescue the ram from its power. The goat became very great, but at the height of its power, the large horn was broken off, and in its place 4 prominent horns grew up toward the 4 winds of heaven. Out of one of them came another horn, which started small but grew great in power to the south and the east and towards a beautiful land. It grew until it reached the host of the heavens, and it threw some of the starry host down to the earth and trampled on them. It set itself up to be as great as the commander of the army of the Lord. It took away the daily sacrifice from the Lord, and its sanctuary was thrown down. Because of rebellion, the Lord's people and the daily sacrifice were given over to it. It prospered in everything it did, and truth was thrown to the ground. Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to him, "How long will it take for the vision to be fulfilled, the vision concerning the daily sacrifice? The rebellion that causes desolation." Rebellion that causes desolation. That'll come in later. The surrender of the sanctuary and the trampling underfoot of the Lord's people. He said to me, "It will take 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary will be reconsecrated." 2,300 evenings and mornings. Let's do it quick. In here, 2,300 divided by 365. That's 6.5 years. So, I don't know if that's significant or not. Interpretation of the vision. While Daniel was watching the vision and trying to understand it, there before me stood the one who looked like a man, and I heard the voice from the lake calling, "Gabriel, tell this man the meaning of the vision." As he came near me, the place where I was standing, I was terrified and fell prostrate. "Son of man," he said to me, "understand the vision that concerns the time of the end." Okay. While he was speaking to me, I was in a deep sleep, with my face to the ground. Then he touched me and raised me to my feet. He said, "I'm going to tell you what will happen later in the time of wrath, because the vision concerns the appointed time of the end. The two-horned ram that you saw represents the kings of Media and Persia. Media, isn't that why? The shaggy goat is the king of Greece, and the large horn between its eyes is the first king. The four horns that replaced the one that was broken off represent four kingdoms that will emerge from his nation, but will not have the same power. So, Greece was one of those countries that once tried to take over the entire world and was eventually defeated. They're all eventually defeated. In the latter part of their reign, when rebels have become completely wicked, a fierce-looking king, a master of intrigue, will arise. He will become very strong, but not by his own power. He will cause astounding devastation that will succeed in whatever he does. He will destroy those who are mighty, the holy people. He will cause deceit to prosper, and he will consider himself superior. When they feel secure, he will destroy many and take his stand against the princes. Yet he will be destroyed, but not by human power. This sounds like the Antichrist. Okay. He will cause astounding devastation. Okay. And succeed in whatever he does. He will destroy those who are mighty, the holy people. He will cause deceit to prosper, and he will consider himself superior. When they feel secure, he will destroy many and take his stand against the prince of princes, which is our Savior. Yet he will be destroyed, but not by human power. Okay. This is the angels. And that holy war, the last war, will be fought by angels. And I've always believed that the rapture will come before that. And would be brought down afterwards, but we'll see. The vision of the evenings and mornings that has been given to you is true, but seal up the vision, for it concerns the distant future. Okay. Distant future, like now. I, Daniel, was worn out. I lay exhausted for several days. Then I got up and went about the king's business. I was appalled by the vision. It was beyond understanding. So what is this? The vision of the evenings and mornings that has been given to you is true. What's evenings and mornings? Okay. Yes. That's this part right here. Then I heard the Holy One speaking in another one. Vision concerning the day of the sacrifice. Green. Rebellion that causes desolation. Okay. Now this, he said. The surrender of the sanctuary and the trampling underfoot of the Lord's people. He said to me, it will take 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary will be reconsecrated. So, and that's what the angel Gabriel, and he's top dog, probably took Lucifer's place when he fell. The vision of the evenings and mornings that has been given you is true, but seal up the vision, for it concerns the distant future. So, we know whatever's going to happen from this. It sounds like when the Antichrist comes and just basically, there's a time when he will sit in the holy house and proclaim himself to be God. And basically claim himself to be superior. And it says, I will last for 3.5 years. But put it away. And that's interesting. That is interesting. Daniel's prayer. In the first year of Darius, son of Perses, a Mede by descent, who was made ruler over the Babylonian kingdom, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood from the scriptures, according to the word of the Lord given to Jeremiah the prophet, that the desolation of Jerusalem would last 70 years. So I turned to the Lord God and pleaded with him in prayer and petition and fasting and sackcloth and ashes. I prayed to the Lord my God and confessed, Lord, the great awesome God who keeps the covenant of love with those who love him and keep his commandments. We have sinned and done wrong. We have been wicked and have rebelled. We have turned away from your commands and laws. We have not listened to your servants and prophets who spoke in your name, to our kings, our princes, and our ancestors, and to all the people of the land. Lord, you are righteous, but this day we are covered with shame. And he talks about namely are therefore the curses and sworn judgment written by the law of Moses and the servant of God have been poured out on us. And he goes into great detail. Now, Lord God, hear our prayers and petitions of your servant. Listen and forgive us. While I was speaking and praying, confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, making my request to the Lord my God for his holy hill, while I was still in prayer, Gabriel, the man I had seen in the earlier vision, came to me in swift flight about the time of the evening sacrifice. He instructed me and said to me, Daniel, I have now come to give you insight and understanding. As soon as you begin to pray, a word went out which I have come to tell you. You are highly esteemed, therefore consider the word and understand the vision. 77s are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish transgression, to put an end to sin and to atone for wickedness, to bring the everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy place. No one understand this, from the time the word goes out to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the anointed one, the ruler, comes. There will be 7 sevens and 62 sevens. It will be rebuilt with streets and a trench, but in times of trouble, after 62 sevens, wow, this is crazy. There will be 7 sevens and 62 sevens. Oh, I gotta go pressing that right button again. Okay. It'll be built with a trench in the times of trouble. After the 62 sevens. Okay. 7 sevens and 62 sevens. I'm not sure what that means. After the 62 sevens, the anointed one will be put to death and will have nothing. The people of the ruler who will come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end will come like a flood. War will continue until the end, and desolations have been decreed. Who does that sound like to you, Daniel? Speaking of Jesus, the anointed one will be put to death and will have nothing. The people of the ruler who will come and will destroy the city and sanctuary. The end will come like a flood. War will continue until the end, and desolations have been decreed. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1 7. Let's see what this 7 is. A week. Okay, 7 is a week. 7 weeks, and then 62 weeks. 7 is 62 is 69. Okay. 69 divided by 7. Wait, that's not what I want, is it? Okay, 69. Wait, okay, let's do this. 69 divided by 52. It's about a year and a half. People of the ruler who will come destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end will come like a flood. War will continue to the end, and desolations have been decreed. Yeah. In the middle of the 7, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering. And at the temple he will set up an abomination that causes desolation. The abomination causes desolation. This kind of permeates through the whole thing, until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. Interesting. And the last part of Daniel, we can go through. Okay. We're going to pause here. So I think we'll stop there at Daniel 9 for now, and we will get into Daniel 10 next time. I'm setting this all up for a study in Revelations. You have to start with Daniel because he was the first one that saw it. But, yeah, next time we'll get into that. Till then, keep reading, keep studying, keep the faith. See you next time.